And one thing about EOPS, and this is something that we have all got to emulate, whether we're instructional faculty or whether we're in DSPS or CalWorks or adjunct faculty or any other program. We say to EOPS, you need to bring 50 students, they'll bring 100. If we say bring 100, they'll bring 200. That's who they are. And they never stop doing it. They never, ever stop. They never take a break. So we were supposed to have a hearing, and it was supposed to be earlier in June, but Noreen Evans, to her credit, was upset at Arnold Schwarzenegger because he kept changing the target. He kept growing. Do you remember that? It was 3 times. It was actually 3 times within 2 weeks. He said the shortfall was first, it was like 21 billion, and then 23 billion, 25 billion. I remember those exact numbers, but he kept changing the target. Now, what she had done was she had worked together with Senator Cheney from San Diego, and they said, well, we're going to have a hearing on each of the subject matters. So they had scheduled this hearing for higher education. It wasn't just community colleges, but it was higher education. It was going to be on a certain date. And ours was going to be in the afternoon, and K-12 was going to be in the morning. But he said, well, how does the education community really know what proposal they are responding to if the target keeps changing? So they postponed the date, and they said, okay, we're going to give you guys a later date, so you have an opportunity to review what the governor is requesting that we approve. So sure enough, we have the K-12ers come in the morning, and they do their presentation. Then it's our turn in the afternoon. Now, there was not real good coordination between the community colleges, CSU and UC, and that's probably for the better. Well, what we did is we said, okay, why don't we all meet at the Chancellor's office beforehand? How many of you have ever been there, the Chancellor's office? Okay, so I'm going to visualize this for you. Sacramento's all on a grid, okay? And so the Capitol, you can enter the Capitol from 2 entrances. There's going to go from the south side, you can go on the north side. Most people come in from the north, but Chancellor's office is on the south. So the Capitol is at 11th and N, and the Chancellor's office is 11th and Q. Incidentally, the FAC office is on 11th between R and S, so we're only a block away from there. So we're going to meet at the Chancellor's office, and we'll kind of coordinate our message there. And then we'll walk up as a group. We'll walk the 4 blocks from 11th and Q up to 11th and N, and we'll enter in the Capitol together. So we called for a certain time. We thought maybe, the students need a little bit more time. So we called for the students to come at a certain time and everybody else to come a little bit later, which was a bit mistake because, once we started with the students, it's like we didn't want to kind of circle back and, start all from scratch. And the students were way out in front of it. They really wanted to get up and they wanted to tell their story. We marched single file from 11th and Q to 11th and N. Can you picture this? Several hundred students. It weren't thousands, but there were several hundred. This room seats about 275 people. We took roughly 250 seats, and we had more people there, but there were a lot of us who were just kind of like walking in and out, and we did want to allow the CSUs to have at least 2 rows or something. You guys don't tell them, don't tell them. Okay, I know we had San Sonoma State here. Anyway, so we took most of those seats. And then anybody had the opportunity to come and testify. So as we said to the students, you guys really should be our voice. Everybody got 2 minutes. That's what it was. That was your timing. Now, here's the thing. How many of you have ever heard the expression, people are distrustful or upset or mindful of government? They really don't trust you. Oh, come on. Any of you ever turn on the TV, people, if you look at, what this, federal government did with Hurricane Katrina, it was a disaster. People they tend to be upset with government. If you go to the DMV, that's a good place. People be upset with government, okay? I know, 17-year-old. We had several hundred students who came to talk about the community colleges. Not one of them said, I had a bad experience. Not one of them said, this is a wasted investment. Not one of them said, you know what, there are other programs that are a higher priority. The message that every student said was, this is the place to turn my life around. And it wasn't any particular type of student. In other words, you couldn't profile them. It wasn't like everyone was of a lower socioeconomic background, or everyone came from a broken home, or everyone was a military veteran. We had students from all walks of life, which is exactly what you have in your classroom today. We educate the top 100%. That's what we do. And in the top 100%, we are conducting the greatest experiment in educational democracy in the history of the world, in the California community colleges today. The message of empowerment was something that we in the lobbying corps had been saying. But they don't listen to us as well, because they see us all the time. We have Andrea York here, our government relations director, is very, very talented, and I hope you have an opportunity to speak with her today about her experiences in lobbying legislation for you, and I lobby the budget. We always say to legislators, look, your job is not just to listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger and to take a budget and start hacking it. Your job as a legislature is to understand that this Constitution of the state of California empowers you to be the appropriating body. Your job is to build the budget from the ground floor up, not from the governor top down. And if you do so, even in the midst of this global recession, where your tools are limited in terms of managing the California budget, you have to prioritize those programs which turn the engine of the economy on. We know the reason why California was beset in this last recession, much harder than other states. There were 4 states that were hit the hardest by the subprime mortgage crisis: California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida. Those 4. If you take those 4 out of the country, and you see how the rest of the country is doing, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, relatively speaking. But you put those 4 states in there, California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, it's a big drag on the country. And the president said, you know what, we're not bailing you guys out. We will bail out certain programs, we're going to bail out certain corporations, but we're not going to bail out the states. He said that. Which means the state legislatures have to do it themselves. So how do you then interpret what decisions to make? And here was our pitch, is that you have to fund those programs which allow people to go from unemployment to employment. Because the moment that you do that with a 12.2% unemployment rate is the moment then that you could take care of those folks who need their AIDS medication, need their kidney dialysis, and need their insulin. That's the way you do it. Starts here, ground zero, California community colleges. Now, there was a subtext to all of this. Remember I said before that the EOPS programs, and we say bring 50 students, they bring 100. Well, we had more than EOPS students. We had DSPS students. We had CalWorks students. But here's the kicker. They were the same students. And what they said was very compelling, is they said, you know what, these programs exist for a reason. But frankly, I need all of these programs in order to allow me to succeed. And it was a great message, because that was not something that was well understood by the legislators. Not at all. These categorical programs demonstrate the fact that the state of California is not going to be as Darwinian as some people want it to be, which is only the fittest survive, only the strong survive. But point in fact, we're going to put a premium on students who need some additional assistance. What did we get? We got a big mess, is what we got. First of all, let's talk about some of the victories, because we did get some substantial victories. First thing is, the governor wanted to take $130 million out of physical PE. Do we have any PE instructors here? Okay, a couple. All right. Now, this is what we said. No. And the reason why we said that is we said, frankly, curriculum should not be managed from Sacramento. It's ridiculous.